Welcome back, everyone. Let's jump right into today's explainer. We're tackling something that is literally the backbone of process mining, data validation. You know, setting up an incredible process mining system is super exciting, but there are massive stakes involved right from day one, way before you even start analyzing your workflows. If you don't nail this first step, everything that follows just completely falls apart. So let's dive into this and explore why validating your data is absolutely the single most important thing you can do for your process models.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First up, the clean data imperative. Then, Gate 1, preloading checks. After that, Gate 2, the validation report. And finally, fixing flaws with Power Query.
Okay, Section 1, the clean data imperative.
It all comes down to this core truth. Analyzing flawed data renders your entire process model completely unreliable. Think about it. You could have the absolute most sophisticated, high-end process mining software on the market, but if you're feeding it garbage data, you're going to get garbage analysis right back. Skipping validation isn't just cutting a corner, it's actually compromising the accuracy and the reliability of everything you're trying to achieve. You absolutely have to make sure your foundation is rock solid, and that is exactly why this methodology isn't just nice to have, it's a total necessity. To build that rock-solid foundation, we rely on a two-gate system. Gate 1 is your preloading validation. These are the crucial manual checks you do before your data ever even touches the process mining environment. Then you've got Gate 2, the validation report. This is your automated, system-generated safety net that catches whatever might have somehow slipped through after the initial analysis completes. Together, these two gates make absolutely sure your process mining relies solely on accurate information. Let's break them down.
Moving right along to Section 2, Gate 1, Pre-Loading Checks.
So, the big thing to remember here is that preloading validation is a preparation step. It's the groundwork you do before importing a single thing into the system, just to guarantee seamless integration down the line. Basically, you're acting as the bouncer here. You're making sure the data has the right ID and is dressed for the occasion before it's allowed into the club.
So what exactly are you checking at the door? Well, here's your crisp, actionable checklist. Number 1, verify access. If you're using connectors, you need to make sure you can actually connect to the data sources successfully and verify that you've got access to all the required fields. Number 2, ensure your data conforms to a supported format. We'll touch on a really common hiccup with that in just a second. And number 3, identify and map optional fields. Look, your data might have a lot of noise in it. You need to review it, figure out which optional fields are actually useful, decide to include them, and then figure out exactly what attribute you want each one to map to.
Now, circling back to step 2 on that checklist, the formatting. When you're checking those formats, the main issue you're looking out for is data showing up in an unsupported format. If that happens, don't panic. The necessary workaround is actually super simple. You just have to verify that the data can be converted into a CSV format. CSV is basically your universal master key here. Just make sure you can convert it, and you'll easily pass this phase of the gate.
All right, on to Section 3, Gate 2, the validation report.
So after you've actually loaded your data and the system runs its initial process report, you're going to get an in-browser notification with a link to download your validation report. This is an automatically generated system summary of any validation issues and mapping errors that it found after that initial analysis wraps up. If Gate 1 was your manual bouncer, Gate 2 is the software acting as the ultimate judge of your data, summarizing any inconsistencies that somehow slipped past you.
Now, what's really wild here is how incredibly specific these reports can get. When you expand the summary in your report, it highlights highly specific issues. For example, our sources point out a scenario where a specific column, let's say the reason for rejection column, already contained or had its values completely replaced by a default value in 99% of the records. I mean, just imagine analyzing your business processes thinking you have this diverse, complex set of rejection reasons, only to find out 99% of them are literally just a system default.
And that brings us to a really critical junction. The system has handed you this report. It's explicitly flagged that 99% of a column is just a default value. And now it's asking you to decide if extra steps are necessary to correct the data and reload it or not. So I have to ask you, should you ignore these validation errors?
The answer has to be a resounding no. Look, while you technically have the option to just ignore the findings, doing that means your process analysis is going to proceed using entirely flawed data, or those system-applied default values we just talked about.
If you ignore the report, you're willingly choosing to analyze a completely fictional version of your business processes, and nobody wants that.
Which leads us to our final section, fixing flaws with Power Query. Thankfully, the software makes fixing these issues a very logical, step-by-step click path. If you decide to make corrections based on that validation report, here is your workflow. First, go ahead and open the details view of your process. Second, select the Setup button. Third, if you need to make deeper transformations, click Transform Data in Power Query. And finally, step 4, once your corrections are locked in, you just save and analyze the data all over again.
To be super clear about where you're actually doing this work, if the data validation errors were just caused by simple mapping issues, like mapping an optional field incorrectly back in Gate 1, you can make those quick, necessary corrections right there in the setup area. But if the dataset needs some serious, robust cleaning and refinement, that's when you bring out the big guns and return to Power Query to make further, more complex data transformations. It's all about using the right tool for the right level of data cleaning.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've seen the manual preparation of Gate 1 and the automated safety net of Gate 2. And we know exactly how to fix the errors we catch. So as you set out to analyze your workflows, I want you to ask yourself, if your final process model is truly only as reliable as its data, are you really prepared to let a 99% error rate slip through your gates? Keep that 2-gate validation system strong, keep your data clean, and your process mining is going to yield some absolutely incredible, highly reliable insights. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, focused learners, and I'll see you in the next one.